they should not waive their home inspections. Warm welcome to you, Jay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Missy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. Very glad that you're on today. We only have about 10 minutes here, so if that's all right with you, I'm going to dive right in.
Please do.
Perfect. My first question for you today is, why should a real estate agent care if their buyer client gets a home inspection or not?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I put it in two words, really: risk and reputation. So, realtors really live by their reputation, and they get repeat referral business that way. And, do you want to put yourself and your client at risk if they buy a house unknown, what kind of conditions it is? So it really is that sort of situation. So there, putting yourself at risk could tarnish your reputation. You want a customer for life, so you want to do the right thing by them. And so the question will always be, would you be willing to put your reputation on the line that house is fine without having a home inspection? So that's the way I'd word it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. Should a listing agent consider doing a pre-listing inspection?
Yeah, I'm a big promoter in pre-listings, have been for years. So what I would say to any listing agents out there, if you've got a house that's in the 10+ year range, it's ideal for pre-listing inspections. And why do I say that? Well, 10 to 12 years is the typical life expectancies of a lot of things like furnaces, water heaters, windows, roofing materials. So that's a great time to, if you're about to put a house on the market at that age, have a pre-listing done. And what the advantage of that is that then the seller is now aware, the listing agent and the seller are now aware of any sort of situation that might come up during a home inspection before you go on market. And you could do something about it. And when I say do something about it, you might have, for example, the home inspector report that the roof is nearing the end of its life. And so whoever's buying this needs the budget to replace it. Well, if I was a seller, I'd probably go for the lowest cost, cheaper roof to go on there, right? But maybe the buyer would want a higher end shingle or different color shingle. Or so what you can do in this situation is go out, get some quotes from reputable roofing companies, have them on the table and say, hey, we're putting our house on the market. We know that the roof needs to be budgeted to replace. Here's 3 quotes. The average price is $8,000, already built in my price. And you get out of that whole negotiating afterwards. It's all done up front and disclosed. So there is all kinds of proof out there that a pre-listing will help a house sell for more money faster. So I'm a big believer in that.
Awesome. I'm a first-time home buyer, so I'm taking notes here for people.
Okay.
And I want to know what our viewers do. So viewers at home, let us know in the comments below. Would you get a pre-listing inspection? Very curious.
Yeah.
I'd love to see those results. Moving into our next question for you, Jay. What is the worst that could happen if a home inspection is waived?
Yeah. So where do I go from there? I mean, it could be a big money pit for the clients, right? The fear of the unknown and the unseen. So you do put themselves at risk when they do that. Or sometimes, in some cases, a mortgage provider might insist on some sort of inspection on an older house. And I have an actual example of this. So I have my nephew, and unfortunately, he's in a market where he's lost a bunch of offers because he had home inspection and financing as part of his clauses. And so ended up having to waive, go ahead and get his financing sorted out in advance and waive the home inspection. And it was an older home, 100+ year old house. And the mortgage provider actually did a walkthrough and found a bunch of things wrong with the older house and would not provide the money for them until they got fixed and had a home inspector in to verify everything was done properly. So it's those kind of things. Even though you think it's a slam dunk, I've already got my money. Mortgage providers might balk on it based on the condition they might find the house in. So there's always that. Especially older homes, there's risk of asbestos materials, active knob and tube, any sort of structural integrity, joist cut that shouldn't be cut, all kinds of things, leaking faucets, plumbing leaks throughout. So, it's just all those kind of nightmares that can happen if you don't have a home inspection. So
Yeah, want to skip all of that. That does not sound fun.
no, exactly.
Well, following up on that, could the buyer get a post-purchase inspection on the home?
Yeah, so that's an interesting point. So in today's, low inventory markets, and I know it's right across North America, it's all over the map, but in these tight competitive markets where there's very low inventory, home inspections we are getting waived as part of the negotiating. It's unfortunate, but it's a fact. And so we do have some very smart buyers that at least still want to know and educate themselves about the home. So they'll do it as what we call a post-purchase inspection. So it has nothing to do with the transaction itself. It's not going to have any impact on that. But you can still have a home inspector in and go through the house very thoroughly, educate them on where things are. Missy, you said you're a first-time home buyer, so we would take the time to show where the shutoffs are and what they do and all that information. That's valuable for a homeowner, especially a first-time homeowner. And so we're seeing more and more of those happening. And so, yeah, I would say a post-purchase, it's sort of the next best thing to a transactional home inspection. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I'm also curious. So as a buyer, you want to be able to trust the decision you're making on one of the biggest investments of your life. Is a 1-hour walkthrough inspection of your future investment good enough?
No, it's really not. At Pillar to Post, we take on average between 3.5 hours on a home inspection, and that's taking the time to go through a house very thoroughly, checking all attics and if there's crawl spaces and if there's basements, spending time down there. It just takes that amount of time. So these 1-hour walkthroughs, which are starting to become kind of popular, really are not helpful for anybody. I mean, it puts risk on the listing agent, the buying agent, the seller, and even the home inspector that does these for the 1 hours. It puts a lot of liability risk. Is everybody willing to do that? And it gives a false sense of security, I think, to the buyer. Oh, this house has been inspected, so it's fine. But 1 hour, not really. You can't really do a thorough inspection in 1 hour.
That's good to know. Putting down that on my list too. These are all great things for me to know. I know they're great things for our viewers and for our network to know. Great key takeaways that I think could help the network when working with our clients. So before we go, Jay, could you let our viewers know where they can go to find more information about Pillar to Post?
Yes, they can go to pillartopost.com and our website's there, and then they can find out who the franchisee in their area is just by putting in their zip or postal code.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for joining me today. Everyone, go check out Pillar to Post and join us here next time for more of our sponsored discussions. We'll see you soon.